community with great advice. I know who I should go see.
All right. Good afternoon. It's a nooner here at All Around Town Radio today, everybody. Welcome to the program. We're getting right to it because we've got a lot to talk about this afternoon. I want to welcome to the program Mr. Joe Riley, known as The Axeman. How are you, Joe?
Good, man.
Can you hear
Scott?
me?
I can hear you fine. Can you hear me?
All right. I hope you're hearing me. All right. I'm hearing you great. I got you, buddy. I want to thank our friends from Sweet Sister Mercy for the theme song there. And we're going to get started here today and talk a little bit about an event you've got going on. But I want to dig into you a little bit because anybody that watches the show that may not know you, I want some history. And I've got that you've been playing for 25 years plus, and you tour, you teach, you record, and you've been involved with a lot of national things as well. So we're going to get into that. Tell me a little bit about your history, if you can, Joe.
Man, I've been playing guitar for way too long. I'll tell you that. I don't know where to start, man. Honestly, like I said, going back to high school, but right out of high school,
you were 14, I understand, right?
Yeah.
14?
I picked up the guitar when I was 14, started playing, but I basically, right out of high school, jumped into bands and tried to hit the road as much as I could. Did a lot of original bands back in the early '90s, and then I got lucky enough to join on with an Aussie tribute band, Mr. Crowley. Actually, they were pretty big back in the '90s, and I did 4 years on the road with them. That was my experience in touring. So once I got done with that, man, it was on. Jumped in different bands from there. I played with Liquid Fire for many years. That was an original project that we did, and we played around town quite a bit, kind of a southern rock country thing. I don't play country guitar, so it was more like heavy metal guitar in a country band. But
I love
it. It was fun. We did some stuff, played with some big names like Jason Aldean, big country guys like Travis Tritt, things like that. A lot of road date shows with that. We had a lot of fun, put out an album, and then I left that band, and I actually went solo back in like 2011. I did a little bit of a guitar shred thing, put a music video out for that. Did okay, and then I landed a job playing guitar for a guy out of Las Vegas, Adam Tucker. Toured the world with him. And then during that time frame, and back and forth in between dates, I joined up with the Mighty Swine locally here. That was Mike Skimmerhorn from CJSS and Dan Norris. We had that band for about a year. We put out the Lust music video, little single, and it just didn't work out, So Dan and I left that project, and we had a band called Stitch Pig Revival. We did that for a few years in between the Adam Tucker tour dates. We put out an album a few years back with Gary Jeffries from Asphalt Ballet. That did pretty well. I released that on my own label. So that did fairly well. It's across the globe. And then
what a wide variety. I mean, you're talking country, rock, heavy metal, everything in there.
I've always tried to be as broad as I could as a musician. I never wanted to rope myself into one thing, But where this last album where I'm at now is, it led up to this. I've had all these songs over the years that I wanted to do. And honestly, I'm not really a singer. I'm a guitar player, but I got tired of singer drama. So and every singer out there is going to hate me, but it's true. So I said I'm going to do my own thing, and I'm singing on it. I'm playing guitar. And oddly enough, I put out that I was going to do this album, and I had so many people reach out to me that wanted to be a part of it. And, some well-known names. So on the album, Tony Franklin's on there playing bass from The Firm. And, he was in, countless bands, Whitesnake and whatnot. He's playing on the album. I had Scott Page from Pink Floyd. He's playing the saxophone part on Island of the Crossroads. So it was an honor to have these guys on my album. And what I didn't expect was I did not expect to get signed out of this. I put the album out on my own label, Rileywood Music Group, just like I did the Stitch Pig thing. And then from there, I had these labels interested in me. So I signed a deal with Rock Solid Talent Entertainment. They're out of the UK. And from there, it led into distribution deals. And I've got Rock Solid does my distribution along with AMG and Sony. And then now I'm over in Asia with KDM Ltd. So I've got all this distribution all over the world now. Landed in guitar magazines. I got in Guitar World magazine. They gave me 2 full pages in there. So I've had a lot of things happen over the past, year and a half with this thing that I didn't expect. So.
Which is so cool. And tell me a little bit. I want to dig a little deeper into that, because so many artists I talk about getting their music published and sent in other countries. Mm-hmm. Does that blow you away that like you'd have a big following? Because I know guys that have a bigger following in Europe than they have in the U.S. all day long.
I feel like that's where I'm at. I feel like, there's so much support overseas right now with the music that I have, and a lot dictates back to that as far as sales, and streams. So it's an honor. It's really neat, and then being able to be in like the guitar magazines, like being in Guitar World, that puts me on a stage in front of all those people too, because they get to see me. They can go to their newsstand in China and pick up that magazine, and I'm in it, So overall, that's an honor on my half,
And what's the difference when you said you were touring for a long time and you were out there with people on the road, and then you do the back home gigs here in the Cincinnati, and you're in Lawrenceburg, Indiana, I know, but just the Cincinnati area and those kind of things. What do you find that are the big differences in those type and styles of work?
I mean, doing the tours I've done over the past 20 years, I've always been that side guy. I've been the guitar player, and like with the Adam Tucker thing, Adam's a dear friend. I'm a hired gun with him, when I would go out. Doing the thing that I'm doing now, where it's my band, I'm leading the pack with it. The support is huge. I'm getting tons of great support, and honestly, it's an honor for me. And to come back home and play, I mean, I live here. It's cool to see friends and family come out and watch me do something that I've been doing for so long outside of this area. So.
Yeah, and I think that's fun, especially this time of year. There's so many people in town and around, and you're going to do a big New Year's Eve show we're going to talk about in just a minute or two. But I do want to tell everybody, if you're just coming onto the show here, if you're watching live or if you're watching later in the day or whatever, we're on with Joe Riley. He's known as the Axeman. Joe, how'd you get that name, the Axeman? Who gave you that?
It's funny. I've been called so many things over the years as a side guitar player. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm a huge Randy Rhoads nut. I love Ozzy and love Randy Rhoads. I'm friends with his family. I mean, it's unbelievable. So many years ago, when I was in the Ozzy tribute band, I was referred as the Axeman. They would always say, the Axeman Joe Riley playing, doing the Randy Rhoads thing or whatever. And so it kind of just stuck with me. And I wanted to use it on this album. And once I did the album, I named it that. It just stuck. The record label's like, man, run with that. Run with the Axeman Unleashed. That's a perfect name for you. So that's how it stuck, and that's where I'm at. So.
Thanks for the comment, Jimmy. Says nice wall of beautiful axes behind you. You do have that's a killer looking studio there behind you, man. You got a lot of guitars back there.
Yeah, I've been collecting guitars since I've been playing. So I got a ton of them. As a matter of fact, I'm going to give 2 of them away on New Year's Eve as little door prizes. So. I'm cherry picking off the wall to give a few of them away.
Well, before we talk about that event, I want to talk about you. There's some people on your website and some things on your website. I want to talk about, first of all, you had guitar tracks on radio commercial jingles over the past 25 years, and one of them was Budweiser. Mm-hmm. Tell me a little bit about playing on a jingle. I mean, what's that involved?
What's funny is like I've been a studio musician, for a long time, and a lot of these times I didn't even realize I was going to be on any kind of commercial. I go and I just do these scratch little licks of whatnot. And, they give me a CD of 20 songs and say, here, put some guitar on this, and then you never know, but the publishing company ends up selling one of those songs and it picks up and goes onto a commercial. So you just never know. That's how that ends up. It's not like I submit anything. I just happen to have my guitar playing is on something that made it into its way onto a TV thing or whatnot. It's kind of cool,
That's interesting that they pick that, because I do some voiceover work, and you have to submit it, and you're competing against all these other people for the they want you to say the words in 40 different ways and those kind of things, and you're like sitting here thinking, who's sitting at that board table deciding they want my voice, but then with yours, they're just kind of running through stuff that they have, and they're like, okay, there it is,
Exactly.
That's cool.
I just did a jingle not long ago. A buddy of mine, Dave Markham, did it with me. We did a jingle for it was a marijuana company. They sell like the whatever the marijuana stuff is out of Michigan. So we did a little jingle for their radio commercial, which it's hilarious. It was fun. It's an extra $100. It's like, here's $100.
Yeah. I mean,
something to throw down. Now the Budweiser thing that goes back, 25 years ago. That was something submitted, and I didn't even realize I was on it until after it was already said and done. But yeah.
And you've played the national anthem before. You do that on guitar, or did you play it with a band?
I was lucky enough to do it several times. There was the GNCC Racing they used to have. They actually brought it to town and did it down by the Speedway in Sparta. And they called me and said, "Hey, we want somebody to do the national anthem. They wanted a guitar player to do it." So I went down and did it the first time, and it's a motorcycle thing. And there's all these cameras. I didn't realize it was being televised. So lo and behold, it was on GNCC Racing, ESPN, ESPN2. I think local channels here, 5 and 9 were there, and they filmed it. They actually did a little interview with me, I think on Channel 9 when I did it the first time. And then a year later, I get a call to come back and do it again. The second year was terrible, though, because it poured down rain the whole time.
Oh.
So I'm out in this middle of this field, soaking wet, trying to play an electric guitar. But
you're pulling the Prince Super Bowl act there in the rain.
It may have been worse, actually, because I was scared I was going to get like completely electrocuted in the middle of a field with a Mesa Boogie amp and an electric guitar trying to pull this off. But I did it. It was fun.
So you've got a couple albums out, Joe, and I want to mention those, and then we're definitely going to talk about this big event here at the end of the show today that you got going on. But talk about your albums just for a minute.
Well, like I said, we put the Stitch Pig album out last year, or 2 years ago, actually, and it did well. That band's no longer. I'm still friends with those guys. We put it out, and it just didn't really take off for us, to get out and really tour on it. But it did. It is all across the world. So where I'm at now is, I put out my album, The Axeman Unleashed, and I put it out, like I said, last year. Earlier this year, I signed the record deal with the companies, so they've put it across the globe. So that's where we're at, and then I had to take a little break. We had some band member issues, typical with any band. So in between there, I had to replace a few guys. And then my drummer, actually, Greg Sloan, he went through prostate cancer. So he had to get through the treatments for that. So we took a few months off. And basically, I put everything on hold so he could get better, because I won't take anybody else but him. We've been friends for 30 years. Matter of fact, we used to teach lessons in the same music store back in like the early 2000s. So I took some time off, and now that he's better, we've got the new members. We've got a whole new stage show ready to go. We're ready to take this thing out on the road and tour on it.
It's funny you said a little bit about band drama there, because I would, if I had $1 for every time somebody's that I've interviewed has talked about band drama, I would have a studio the size of probably Cincinnati because
I believe it.
It's crazy. I mean, it does happen, and there's so many things, and people don't understand sometimes behind the scenes are all the dynamics that go on with a band, from especially if you're touring, if you're signed, if you're going town to town, and just the grind that is for people to go play. It's not all the glamour and glitz that people think, is it?
No, and I mean, I don't want to bring up any names or anything, but some of the drama that you deal with, like I had some well-known players in the band at one point. Some people have actually seen me play out with them, and a lot of I think it's just ego. I think they people expect a little more than what they're getting. They think they're worth more, and I agree with that. The downside is like I'm one of them people too, and you got to look at reality. Reality doesn't dictate you make $1 million off playing a club gig. And I think some people have a hard time understanding that. And it's you got to do what you got to do to pay your dues, I guess, at that point, no matter where you're at. And even with a record deal, I'm still paying my dues. I'm still trying to get out there and get people to like it and buy it.
Absolutely. And I want to say hi to some folks checking in. Hi, Tom. Thanks for being here. Hi, Toy Hobbs from Rockstar, the band. Matt, thanks for being in here. Matt, Sean Cooper, Alex Hall, my brother from another mother. Thank you for being here. And let's talk, Joe, about this event, because this is what we originally kind of chatted about, getting you on the show and doing. And there's a big thing going on New Year's Eve, and we want to talk about it. So why don't you lead in, first of all, with the backstory to why you're even doing this benefit?
Okay, well, like I said, my drummer Greg Sloan, he plays. I mean, he actually plays with Floyd and the Walkmen as well. People see him around town playing with him. Greg went through some prostate cancer issues, and he had to have the treatment. So, a couple months ago, we're sitting around, and he's stressed out. He's got a lot of bills, obviously, with cancer treatments. My wife had cancer, so I know exactly what he's dealing with. So, I got to thinking, we've got a new bass player in the band now. The band was really rocking. I thought, why don't we put together some kind of show that can help him offset those bills? Because I want him having a clear head for this whole year as we get out there and kick off this whole new tour. And so my thought was, well, we're always looking for something to do on New Year's Eve. why don't we do a bash, a benefit bash, and actually we can break out the full stage show this time. We've got an incredible stage show we do with lights and backdrops and everything. We're going to set that all up. We're going to do that. And what I want to do is every ticket sold, that money is donated to Greg. It goes straight to him to help pay those bills so that you can ease him a little bit. So he's prepared to go on tour.
So, yeah, let's get some details on this. I'm going to throw it up on the screen here, and you tell us about it, though, and where it's going to be and how long it's going to run and all that on New Year's Eve.
Okay. Yeah, it's you can see there on the screen. It's Empower Ballroom. It's 318 Oak Street, Ludlow, Kentucky. Ironically enough, we actually rehearse in this building, and it's a ballroom that's upstairs. It's got a beautiful stage. So we're basically just taking the venue that we rehearse at and making it into a party house for us for the night. Doors open at 8 o'clock. I have Floyd and the Walkmen. They're going to open the show. They've agreed to do it, which would be Greg playing drums for that as well. So he's going to kind of double duty that night. So they'll kick it off about 8:45, and then I'm hoping that we hit the stage by 10. We do an hour and a half set, so we'll end about 11:30. I've got a ton of things I'm giving away. All the tickets that are sold, they're numbered. So you'll put your number in a bucket. I'll pull those through the the night. And what I'm giving away a Firefly back guitar, which was brand new. They gave it to me from Firefly. They've been trying to get me to endorse them, and I love their stuff. So I'm giving away that, and I'm giving away. Actually, I got it right here. I'll show you. So this is actually out of my collection. This is something I did a photo shoot with a few years ago. This, if we can get up there, is a Kramer. This is actually something that I custom painted and did it for a photo shoot for a Converse endorsement. So that guitar I'm actually giving away as well. So, and that'll be free, whatever comes in the ticket, I'll pull a ticket number and you'll win it and walk out with it. I'm giving away a bunch of band merch. I got t-shirts. I got tons of stuff, man. We're just gonna have a good time with it, And then we're also doing silent auctions as well. There's a bunch of stuff that Greg and them have donated. So they're gonna do some silent auctions and we're just gonna have fun with it. That's what it's about.
What a cool cause. I mean, what a great cause. And the fact that Greg can play during the event says something right there. The benefit for him and he's able to play is amazing. And
man, I tell you what, he's a trooper, man. He's come out of it and he's rocking. He's playing double duty. Like you said, he plays out with Floyd and Walkman around town all week long. And then, he gets in the band with me and we do albums, and like I said, I plan on he and I going on the road this year and doing some touring with it. So yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. So,
and we've got a ticket link popped up there if you want to get on joerileymusic.com and /merchandise. You can find it. There's a merchandise tab on the website. It's easy. Just click on it. It'll take you there, and you can find tickets to this event.
I will say real quick, Scott, those tickets are low. I mean, we're down and probably around the 30 ticket left mark. So,
wow.
Yeah, I would suggest anybody wants to go, grab a ticket now because it's going to sell out.
Get on it, people, if you want to go. And what a great way to spend New Year's Eve, too, benefiting a fellow musician in the area and also, getting to enjoy some good rock music. And you're gonna play some great tunes that night. You said your set's a pretty good one. And then you've got Floyd and the Walkmen, and everybody loves them. They do. They love that band. And I think that's cool. You got that going on. So what else we cooking today? We're talking about this. We're talking about the benefit, and we'll hit that again at the end. Mm-hmm. But I want to talk about how people can connect with you, Joe, because I think you've got a good backstory here. They need to go read your website bio, and they need to connect with you. So how can they do that?
Yeah, I mean, jump on the website. It's joerileymusic.com. Grab that. If you go on the website, it's got links to everything. It'll jump you over to Facebook, Instagram, all that. So they can basically trace around. If you go on, obviously on Facebook here, everything's Joe Riley Music. Just put the music behind it, you'll find me. Or if you go on Google, you can Google me and just put in the Axeman Unleashed, and there's page after page will pop up, and it'll show you where you can get the album at and everything else. So it's kind of everywhere, man. I
got a question for you though, off the wall question. Greatest guitarist of all time.
Man, that's a tough. That's a tough.
I know it's hard for everybody.
So many things that you can look at in a factor of that. Like I said, I'm a Randy Rhoads nut. I mean, with Ozzy, he was mine. He's been my idol since day one. Matter of fact, we're doing a little tribute to that New Year's Eve too, with a song, and I actually have a guitar I'm going to break out for the first time. So yeah, I mean, it's tough. Everybody says Eddie Van Halen. They've got Jimi Hendrix. I love them all. I do. I love them all. So. I'm not going to be the guy to point out one. You know what I mean? I don't want to be that guy. So it's like,
yeah, well, then I'm going to ask you my follow-up question to that. If you could be on stage with anyone, a guitarist, past or present, that was a huge guitarist, which one would you choose to take the stage with?
It would be Rhodes. It would definitely be Rhodes. You know, I don't know if I'd play anything. I'd probably be too like embarrassed to play around him. But yeah, I don't know.
That's funny. That's what everybody says. They're like, I'd be fanboying or something up there. You know, be like, yeah.
I've played with so many people that are big names, and it's been that way, almost a little more fanboyish with it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Yeah, there you go, Toy. Yeah,
Thanks,
Randy and Steve Ray Vaughan. So, yeah, all those guys are amazing.
And Kelsey, thank you for that nice comment you threw up there too, and we appreciate that. And guys, if you have a comment or a question for Joe, throw it in the comments. Even if you're watching after we're live, he's going to post this on his page. I'll have it on mine. We'll answer your comments and do all that today, because we know noon on 2 days after Christmas is a little tough on people getting them on here and live with us.
I'm barely up right now. I'm not going to lie.
I'm barely rolling. I've had that little vocal thing going on the last couple of days, muddled through an event last night. I'm going to try to get through another one tonight, and hopefully we'll do it. And I know it's that time of year. 'Tis the season to be wheezing, as they say, and all that good stuff. So you yourself playing guitar, that's your craft, obviously. Do you still practice a lot?
Believe it or not, no. You know, it's funny because once you get to this level, you know, most of my time is spent either in the studio or I'm online trying to sell this thing, you know. So I'm lucky if I pick the guitar for 20 minutes a day. It's kind of sad. I regret that I can't play it more, truthfully. But I've put in so many hours over the years, Scott, honestly, thousands of hours of playing, you know, so I just do my thing with it at this point. So.
Do you find social media to be a big advantage or a pain in the you know what?
It's more of a pain, I'll be honest. You know, I don't really agree with how they do the algorithms on anything. You know, when it comes to even with the industry, they judge you by your algorithms. You know, how many fans do you have? How many followers do you have? And we all know those are just clicks. You know, that doesn't mean everybody's going to buy your stuff. And they do it by percentage ratio. So, but I mean, I know it's important. You know, it makes it a lot easier to be known now, I guess, and put out in the public eye. The downside is you're like everybody else at that point. There's nothing special, you know. Everybody's a star at this point. Everybody's got a voice. So it's good and bad, you know, I'm going to say.
Yeah, and it sure allows people to target you too. The more successful you get, the more targeted you get, I think, on social media. And that's difficult as well. I see that happen a lot in the music business. Yeah. Everybody's rah this band, and then they get some success, and then it's like haters come out of the woodwork. And that's a tough thing. But social media has allowed us, I think, to do some things as you're doing to promote this event, to get it out there, where we used to go tack flyers up on the telephone poles and crap like that.
Yeah. You know, I miss those days. You know, I miss the days of hanging up a flyer and having to, you know, try to get on the radio as much as you can to help sell something. I miss that, you know. I think because everybody has a voice. But everybody has a voice now, and it's hard. Your competition is way bigger now than what it was, you know, 20 years ago. So.
Absolutely. And we talk about that a lot on my show, especially when we do the hot topics on bands and venues and how competitive it gets just for social media appearance and you know, getting your stuff posted and all that. And it's tough. It's a full-time job just to stay relevant every single day. And you're doing it and also trying to sell your songs and all the other things out there. You know, that's got to be a difficult task for you. And it's got to be a big step to keep doing that every day.
It really is, you know, and like I said, I'm with working with labels. You know, I have a marketing team I'm working with too. So there's a lot of things that are out there that doesn't get social media attention. You know, like I said, the magazines and this, that. We've been in, since we put this album, I've been in half dozen magazines so far. And, you know, some of those were cost, some of them weren't. A lot of support from those people, like I said, including Guitar World. So there's so much going on that the social media doesn't cover, you know, that's the weird thing about it. But at the same time, you got to have the social media with it. You know, everybody's on there, you know. The hard part is, like I said, we're in competition with everybody else that's promoting right now and getting those likes. And you hope that one like buys a ticket. You know, I guess that's the biggest thing. So.
Well, and landing a 2-page spread in Guitar World's not too hateful. I mean,
no, and actually I have more coming up. So I'll be in Guitar World again in 2024. So I've got quite a bit going on. Those guys have been huge support for me. You know, I submitted to them over the years, and they finally said yes and liked the album, and they actually love the album, and have actually done some great stuff for me. So I'm thankful to those guys. Like I said, I've done tons of interviews and stuff. And I'm just waiting for it to hit the pages. That's where I'm at with that.
Well, and don't you think people that, especially those that subscribe to hard copies of those type of things, and even the digital copies, I mean, those are true music lovers, people that love guitar, you know, unlike some of the social media perusers who, that guy plays guitar, you know, that kind of thing. But when you pick up Guitar World magazine, you got to kind of love playing the guitar, I think. I mean, or at least love guitar players. Yeah.
Now, ironically enough, I'll tell you this little story, Scott. So the first issue I was in was a Randy Rhoads commemorative issue, believe it or not. And the irony about that was a year before that issue came to my house, they sent me a copy early. A year before that, when I talked to them, I was actually out in LA hanging out with Randy's family at his gravesite and the whole 9 yards, you know. And 1 year to the day, literally to the day, that magazine showed up at my house, and I was actually in that magazine. It was a commemorative issue to him. So that's a huge issue, and it's sold out. 24 million copies of that magazine sold out across the globe. And then later on, a few months later, I ended up in the Beatles issue, which is the two biggest copies that they had, you know, for the year. I was in both issues. So and they were full pages of me. So
that's pretty damn good.
That's pretty cool. You know, the two biggest issues, I was in those issues this past year, which was awesome.
And we got some great guitarists on here today. Toy's on here. Quentin's on here. Thank you guys for being with us today. We appreciate you. So let's sum it up. Let's get back in one more time for anybody that might be late to the party here. And again, if you're watching after we're live, you can drop comments about this. Let's talk about this big event on New Year's Eve again. I'll pop it up on the screen. You tell them about it one more time, if you will.
Okay. It's the New Year's Eve benefit bash for Greg Sloan. Greg's my drummer. He went through prostate cancer, so we're just trying to help him out with some bills. So every ticket sold, I'm donating all that money to him. He takes that 100% and puts it towards the debt that he's got from these bills. But we have Floyd and Walkman. They're going to open the show for us. They're going to do about an hour set, 45 minutes to an hour. I'll be hanging out the whole night. We've got tons of merch, tons of things. Every ticket sold will get entered into a drawing, and I'm going to give away a couple of guitars. One is a Firefly back guitar that was donated from the Firefly company. So thank you, Tori, and the guys at Firefly. And then also I have a custom painted. It's a Kramer Beretta that I actually did for myself for a Converse endorsement. So I got some pictures I'll post out on social media too, so people can see with me and that guitar. I'm giving that away as well. Plus we have tons of merchandise. One of these little guys, believe it or not, Scott, I don't know if you knew this or not, but I got lucky enough. I have my own action figure for the album. So
I love it.
These guys will be at the show. I have plenty of these on.
I got to see that again. Hold that up so we full screen.
So, yeah, it's the action figure for the. It's actually, if you look at it, there you go. He's actually holding one of my guitars. The guitar that I'm in the Guitar World ad. It's an Ibanez, and that's a miniature version of that guitar. So yeah, I have action figures that'll be there. I might give away a couple of these things at that night too. So it's just crazy, man. It's fun, you know.
Isn't it great to have an action? I've got my own bobblehead back here behind me there, right there. Thanks to Glenn out there who's watching. He got that for me, so I appreciate that. It's cool to have that kind of stuff, and it's cool to have people wear your merch and all those things. You know, that's a cool thing to see. Mm-hmm. And I'm so glad for you. I'm glad you're putting this on for Greg. It is, you know, it's humbling to see musicians like you who are out there and you want to give back. And you know, the music world's been good to you, obviously. You're giving back something to a fellow musician, and that's always a nice gesture in my mind. And certainly I think the people watching today would agree with that you're doing a good thing New Year's Eve. How much are the tickets is what we want?
They're $20 in advance. If it doesn't sell out, they'll be $25 at the door. Right now we've got a fire code, so we've got to stick to the fire code. That's where I'm thinking we're going to sell out. So like I said, we're down to, hey, thanks, Toy. You rule too, brother. But right now, like I said, we're down to like 30 tickets or so left, man. So if anybody wants to go, they need to jump on it pretty much right away. But it's $20 in advance, and you can get that off my website. And then, like I said, $25 at the door if it doesn't sell out. So
there's a great question from Kelsey. She said, if people aren't able to make it to the show, is there somewhere they can make a donation to the cause? Really dig what you're doing.
Greg's got some links that he's put together. I'm going to post those on social media this afternoon once he sends those to me. So I think it's a Venmo and something else he's got set up. I don't have that handy with me right now, but I'll make sure those are posted on my social media, and I'll actually put on the website later tonight.
And so Joe, if you don't mind, drop them in the comments on this show too, so people can grab them there if you will. And that's a great idea. Thank you, Kelsey, for that. We appreciate you. So we're going to wrap it up here. Anything else you want to share with everybody out there today? Joe Riley, the Axeman.
Yeah, one more thing I want to talk about, Scott, real quick is so with the new thing that I got a new album coming out in 2024. We started working on it. We've got one of the first singles that we're putting out. I just sent it in to the record label, so it's already gone to the Sony intake sheet. It'll be released February 25th is the first single. I have copies of that on CD. They're CD singles. I'm giving every ticket that walks in the door New Year's Eve, giving them a free CD of that single before it even hits the airwaves. So that's something I'm doing is my gift to everybody for coming out. So yeah, but we will have a new album coming out in 2024, and it'll be with Rock Solid Talent Entertainment, all distributed through RST, AMG, Sony, and KDM Ltd. across the globe. So we have.
Thank you, Rick. Thanks, Rick. Good comment.
Oh, cool. Thanks, Rick.
Yeah. So very good. What a lot of incentives for people to come in there.
Absolutely.
I mean, you're giving away things all night long. It goes to a great cause, and it's New Year's Eve. What a great party to have! And it sounds like it's going to be just a bash, like you said. And I hope everybody, I hope you sell this thing out and it's a success. Maybe we get you back on later on to talk about the success of it and talk more about your new album and that later in the year. We'd love to hear from you. So, guys, you've been watching Wednesday with the Band with Joe Riley. You can follow him all over social media. He's out there. And let me see if I can put that up again at Joe Riley Music on Facebook or joerileymusic.com on the web. And that's where all the links are. Just go to joerileymusic.com and you'll see everything there. And you can hit all the buttons and travel around. Read his bio because his bio is very interesting. We only touched on a small portion of what you've done in your life.
Yeah. There's music videos on there too, by the way. So there's
perfect
tons of that they can see.
Sounds great. Joe, I want to thank you. Stay with me for a minute, if you will, as we go off the air here. Guys, don't forget to tune in tomorrow. We'll be live at 5 featuring Who's Playing Out, brought to you by our friends at Froggy's in Monroe, Ohio. And we'll be featuring the best musicians and venues in the tri-state and who's playing out this week, including all the New Year's Eve shows that are going on. So tune in with us live at 5 tomorrow here at All Around Town Radio. Until then, on behalf of Joe, myself, thanks for watching today, guys. We'll see you next time.